The Spanish Grand Prix was supposed to be a turning point, a classic European race to reset the order after early season chaos. Instead of strategy and skill taking center stage, viewers were treated to wrath, uncertainty, and an explosive clash between two top-level drivers. The tension between George Russell and Max Verstappen erupted in Barcelona, transforming the circuit into a pressure cooker. By the end, the consequences of one incident threatened to redefine not only the race's outcome but the championship as a whole. So, where do we draw the line? And what's next for F1? First off, George Russell has accused Max Verstappen of purposefully crashing into him during the Formula One Spanish Grand Prix, claiming the move was completely unnecessary. Drama escalated in Barcelona after the lap 61 safety car restart, as third-placed Verstappen was immediately put under pressure from behind following a slide out of the final corner. Charles Leclerc initially overtook him down the start-finish straight, but collided with Verstappen in the process, irritating the four-time champion, who claimed the Ferrari driver should have been penalized. Russell then put pressure on Verstappen after going down the inside of turn 1, but the Red Bull driver maintained his lead after being forced to use the escape road. 3 laps later, Red Bull instructed Verstappen to hand Russell 4th place, and the enraged Dutchman slowed into turn 5 before speeding up and colliding with the Mercedes. Verstappen eventually let Russell overtake, but still received a 10 seconds penalty, which dropped him from 5th to 10th, and the Briton said, "It felt very deliberate." It's something that I've seen numerous times in sim racing and on iRacing. Never have I seen it in a Formula One race, Russell, who finished 4th, added. So that was something new. It's a bit of a shame. Max is clearly one of the best drivers in the world, but maneuvers like that are just totally unnecessary and sort of lets him down. It's a shame for all the young kids looking up and aspiring to be Formula One drivers. So, as I said, I don't know what he was thinking. In the end, I'm not going to lose sleep over it, because I also benefited from those antics. Russell believes questions should be answered if officials believe Verstappen actually meant it, since you cannot deliberately crash into another driver. "We've put our lives on the line," he said. "We're fortunate the cars are as safe as they are these days. We shouldn't take it for granted." As I said, it's down to the stewards to determine if it's deliberate or not. If they do think it's deliberate, then they need to have a hard question. Russell was perplexed by the move, given that the Mercedes driver finished within a second of third-placed Leclerc, implying Verstappen could have easily fought back despite the late changeover to hard rubber, while others were on softs. "It just seemed all very strange and bizarre and set off," Russell said. "It doesn't really make sense to deliberately crash into somebody and risk damaging your own car, risk a penalty." He could have come back for fighting for podium. Charles really dropped off at the end, pushing both soft tyres too hard. Obviously, he was probably frustrated being on the hard tyres. Lost out at the beginning, but it was still 5 laps to go. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. It means Verstappen is currently 49 points behind title leader Oscar Piastri, who won the Spanish Grand Prix in a McLaren 1-2 over Lando Norris. For now, Max Verstappen has failed to speak completely on his collision with George Russell at the Formula One Spanish Grand Prix, which has landed him on the verge of a race suspension. The Red Bull driver was given a 10-second penalty for colliding with Russell in the final laps of the Barcelona race, despite appearing to follow orders from his team to let the Mercedes driver through after their initial clash at turn 1 when fighting for position, which caused the Dutch driver to go off track. However, following the collision into turn 5, Verstappen collided with Russell, prompting the FIA stewards to impose a 10-second penalty, dropping him to 10th position in the final results. Verstappen also received 3 penalty points on his license, bringing his total to 11 over a 12-month period. If he receives 1 more point, he will face a 1-race ban. His next points won't come until after the Austrian Grand Prix at the end of June. The 4-time F1 world champion chose not to give a thorough appraisal of his race with Russell, preferring to focus on his overall performance. "Does it matter?" Verstappen said on Sky Sports F1 when asked for his side of events. "Yeah, okay, that's great. I mean, I prefer to speak about the race than just one single moment. We tried to do a 3-stop, and I think it was quite good. It was quite racy, but we also needed it because we actually had quite a bit of degradation on the tyres, so I think that was good. Unfortunately, then of course the safety car came out at the end, and we basically ran out of tyres. And the hard tyre was clearly not the right tyre. I mean, when you only have 6 laps to go, everyone can go flat out. I was severely grip limited on the hard. Verstappen was left vulnerable following the late race safety car period because those around him could pit for soft tyres while he only had a fresh set of hard rubber, so Red Bull switched him. The compound deficit prevented him from firing up the hard rubber as soon as his soft-shod competitors, allowing him to skid out of the final corner at the restart. Charles Leclerc pulled alongside him, resulting in contact between the two, which was investigated following the race. That incident then put Verstappen under pressure from Russell at turn 1, and his race unravelled from there. On the straight, I got driven into already, and then into turn 1 as well. Then Red Bull told me to give the position back, Verstappen said, later to the written media. But honestly, I think the biggest issue that we have is just the racing standards. What is allowed, what isn't, is not very natural, and that is quite frustrating. Sometimes it works for you, sometimes it works against you, and today, that worked against me. Verstappen refused to be pushed into the dispute, prompting 2016 F1 World Champion and Sky Sports F1 analyst Nico Rosberg to argue that the Dutch driver should have been disqualified for colliding with Russell. Yeah, that's his opinion. Everyone can have his opinion, Verstappen said on Rosberg's comments. Verstappen also stated that he will not seek out Russell to discuss the clash. After George Russell's heated comments about their Spanish Grand Prix incident, Max Verstappen warned him to bring some tissues next time. Verstappen remained unapologetic in response to Russell's harsh remarks. Okay, well, next time I'll bring some tissues, Verstappen replied when confronted with Russell's remarks. He has his view, I have my view, and honestly, it is just better to focus on the race, which was quite okay until the safety car. When pressed for his thoughts on the situation, Verstappen stated it was a misjudgment. He then added that he would not necessarily speak with Russell, and that I have nothing to say, and that in life, you shouldn't regret too many things, you only live once. And in a way, he was right, as the F1 stewards have revealed that Max Verstappen had no duty to give up 4th position to George Russell in the final stages of the Spanish Grand Prix. Verstappen was investigated for overtaking Russell off the course, but the stewards revealed that he would not have been penalised if he had kept ahead of the Mercedes driver. Car 63 attempted to overtake Car 1 on the inside of Turn 1, according to the stewards. While the front axle of Car 63 was ahead of the mirror of Car 1 at the apex, the driver of Car 63 momentarily lost control of the car and collided with Car 1, forcing it wide and into the escape road. Car 1 re-entered the track at Turn 3 ahead of Car 63. Given that the reason for Car 1 being forced off the track was the loss of control and the resulting contact by Car 63, Car 1 did not deliberately leave the track. We accordingly took no further action. As the paddock cools down after a scorching weekend in Spain, one fact remains. Max Verstappen is skating on the thinnest ice. One more penalty point, and the reigning champion faces the unthinkable, a racing ban. It is debatable if the Russell event was actually a head loss or simply a misjudgment. However, the repercussions are big, and the stakes are real. For Verstappen, Canada and Austria have become a delicate balance. So, what do you think? Did Verstappen lose his cool during the end of the race? And will he even be in the championship conversation in a couple races from now? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below.